They say bullies thrive until somebody finally says no. After a 12-hour grind and a crawl through Dallas traffic, I hit my garage remote ready to drop my keys and my guard. The door lifted, and a spotless white SUV stared back at me from inside my garage. Not the curb, not my driveway inside. My name is Thomas Green, and I'm the guy who went from bone-tired to ice-cold in 3 seconds flat. I killed the engine, stepped out slow, and glanced around my own space like I might have read the scene wrong. Tool pegboard on the left cedar shelves I built on a long Saturday. The ladder I still haven't hung that motor oil and fresh pine smell that says you're home. And this stranger of a car, angled like it owned the place. Texas plates, luxury trim, vanity tag, that might as well have been a business card for trouble, HOA PWR. I didn't need a second look. Everyone on Willow Bend Drive knew Patricia Vaughn's ride. Clipboard queen. By the book, when the book served her. I cracked the door to the kitchen, half expecting to hear voices, some kind of emergency that would at least make sense, but the house was quiet. Then her voice floated up the driveway, confident as ever. "Oh, Thomas, you're home sooner than I thought." She walked up in a cheerful floral blouse folder, tucked under her arm like a badge. I held the line. "Patricia, what is your car doing in my garage?" She didn't flinch. Landscapers blocked my driveway board. Zoom couldn't be late. Just needed the space for a few minutes. "You don't mind, do you?" I laughed once. No humor in it. "You put your car in my garage, Patricia. That's not a parking workaround, that's a line you stepped over without asking." She waved it off like lint on a sleeve. "Don't exaggerate. It's temporary." "You're reasonable." Reasonable. Like when she fined me while I was driving back and forth to Houston for my dad's surgery because my Christmas lights were still up in January. Like when she warned my neighbor's kids about chalk drawings. Like when she cited Robert Martinez for leaving his garage open while he fixed a transmission. I felt something click inside me. A deadbolt finding its seat. I opened the garage app, kept my eyes on hers, and tapped close. The motor groaned. The door came down like a verdict. "What are you doing?" she snapped. "Keeping your few minutes right where they belong. Off my property." The door thudded, and for once the queen of our HOA didn't have a line ready. She tried to rally. "Open it, Thomas. That's my vehicle." "Your vehicle is where you chose to leave it," I said. "Explain why you thought this was okay." "Don't make this dramatic," she pressed. "I'll move it in a minute." Funny how the person who breaks your boundary is always the first to call you dramatic when you say no. By then, the murmurs had traveled. Ms. Janice Fuller, retired nurse with steel in her spine, stepped onto her porch. "Cheryl, what was your car doing in his garage to begin with?" Others drifted out. The Murphys, the young couple next door with twins. Robert wiping his hands on a grease rag. Sophia Reynolds rocking a toddler. It didn't take long for the question hanging in the air to land. "How'd you get his code?" I shook my head before anyone could guess. I never gave it to her. Patricia looked everywhere but at us. I might have seen him type it, or maybe it was written down somewhere. Not the point she said. Except it was exactly the point. "So you trespassed and used a code you had no right to know," I said. "That's not community, that's control." She straightened, pride running the show. "Fine, I'm calling the police." "Go ahead," I said. "Yeah, that happened." 10 minutes later, a cruiser rolled up lights, washing the brick fronts red and blue. 2 officers stepped out. Officer Raymond Lewis, with the calm, steady eyes. Officer Kelly Moore, with the notepad already open. "Evening, folks." Lewis said we got a call about a vehicle dispute. Patricia practically pointed like I'd stolen a puppy. He locked my car in his garage and refuses to release it. That's theft. Moore didn't look rattled. Ma'am, how did your car end up inside his garage? I parked it there temporarily. Patricia said, my driveway was blocked. I had a board call. Lewis turned to me. Sir, I kept my voice even. She used my garage code without permission. I came home and found her SUV inside my garage. I closed my door. Kelly's pen paused midair. Ma'am, did he give you permission? Silence is an answer, and the neighbors filled in the rest. Chalk fines, doormat warnings, a $200 grass violation during a heatwave attempts to ban Halloween decorations. The officers traded a look. Lewis spoke plain. Ma'am, entering someone's property without permission is trespassing. Using a code without consent is unauthorized entry. HOA bylaws don't override private property rights. Patricia went stiff. After everything I've done for this neighborhood now, I'm a criminal. From her porch, Janice called not a criminal, just finally being told no. Moore looked at me. Sir, do you want to press charges? The question hung there heavy as humid air before a storm. I thought about the letters with my name spelled wrong and my address perfectly right about late nights at the hospital with my dad, while fines kept showing up like clockwork about hearing reasonable, like it meant I should be the one to keep giving ground. I took a breath. Not tonight. But I want accountability. I want her to admit it out loud. Moore nodded slightly. It might be in your best interest, ma'am. You could feel the crowd leaning in. Patricia's pride fought her fear. Then pride blinked first. I'm sorry, she whispered. Louder, I said, for the people you've been policing. She lifted her chin, eyes bright with anger, and something else. Maybe shame. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have parked in your garage. I shouldn't have used your code. The sound that rose wasn't laughter. It was applause. Not because anybody thought she'd turned into a saint, but because truth finally had a microphone. Lewis gave me a small nod. You've made your point. Open it up. I tapped the app. The door climbed, fluorescent lights washed over that white SUV like a stage reveal. Patricia rushed for the handle, but Robert's voice cut in. Hold up. She doesn't get to drive off and send letters tomorrow like none of this happened. We need to talk about what this means. Heads nodded. The circle tightened. Sophia's toddler slept against her shoulder while she spoke. She apologized because she had to, not because she meant it. If we let it slide, it's the same old story by morning. Patricia's tone cracked. You can't overthrow the board in a driveway. That's not how this works. Janice didn't miss. Funny, you've been running HOA business from your living room for years. Lewis raised a hand. Our job is peace, not policy, but trust is harder to win back than any fine you ever wrote. That line landed like a gavel. I looked around at people I waved to and borrow ladders from and trade barbecue tips with, and I heard my own voice say what a lot of us were already thinking. Then let's do it the right way. Special election, petitions, signatures, a meeting that isn't scripted. Out in the open, start to finish. You could feel the shift, not anger resolve. Even Mr. Douglas, our Vietnam vet, who rarely leaves his recliner, shuffled closer and said, I fought so folks could have their fence lines respected. That includes the line at a garage door. Patricia slid behind the wheel, started the engine, and backed out. Slow tail lights washed red against a neighborhood that didn't look the same anymore. The cruiser rolled away. People stayed. Little clusters, swapping stories they'd been sitting on for years, comparing violation slips like old baseball cards, figuring out who had a printer, and who was good with bylaws. I leaned against my truck and felt something I hadn't felt in a while. Lightness, like I'd finally set down a bag I'd carried so long I forgot it had handles. Janice walked over, arms crossed, wry smile barely there. "You didn't just close a door. Thomas, you closed down nonsense," she said. "Took guts." I shook my head. I didn't set out to be a hero. I just wanted to park my truck and breathe. But if I let her act like my space was an overflow lot, what's the next thing she takes? "That's how it starts," Janice said. "One person says enough, and the rest remember how." By the time the group thinned, we had a plan. Petitions in the morning, signatures in the afternoon, a meeting on Saturday, with chairs in the open air, where anyone could speak without getting gavelled. I stood in the driveway and looked at that rectangle of light spilling from the garage. Same cedar shelves, same pegboard, but everything felt different. I hit the app and listened to the door hum down. Not like a wall, like a promise. Here's what I learned. Boundaries aren't about winning. They're about clarity. Respect isn't a memo. It's how you move in someone else's space. Authority isn't permission, and you don't have to scream to be heard. Sometimes you just close your door and let the truth echo. You know what I mean. The next day would bring Facebook arguments with people who love a keyboard, maybe some highlighted bylaws, maybe a lawyer letter or two, maybe even a board meeting that needed extra chairs. But for the first time in years, it also brought neighbors who wanted to fix things instead of fearing a fine. That's the victory I kept. Not that Patricia's SUV spent 20 minutes in my garage, but that a street remembered it's a community. So tell me this in the comments. Was I right to leave that door closed, or did I go too far? Where's the line between community standards and straight-up control? Have you seen Title Race or a sliver of power twist simple rules into weapons? Drop your story. Push back, disagree if you want. If you think neighbors should act like neighbors, tap, like hit subscribe, and share this with someone who needs a reminder that saying no is sometimes the most neighborly thing you can do. I'll be in there, reading, learning, talking it through. Because what justice looks like on your block might be the next story we tell.